When most people imagine naval power, they picture a single aircraft carrier dominating the horizon. But in reality, envisioned in the Smarted P, that carrier is never alone. Every major navy understands a simple truth. A carrier survives because an entire fleet protects it. Together, these vessels form what is known as a carrier strike group, arguably the most capable naval formation ever assembled. Every ship has a specific mission, and every mission supports the carrier. Missile defense, anti-submarine warfare, intelligence gathering, air superiority, logistics, all operate simultaneously. The aircraft carrier may be the centerpiece, but it is only one component of a far larger system. Today, we're going inside that system to discover how the world's most powerful naval formation actually works. Everything begins with the carrier itself, with Tanning, the command center of the entire formation. Rather than fighting alone, the carrier serves primarily as a mobile airbase, capable of projecting power hundreds of kilometers from the fleet. Its greatest strength is not the ship itself, but the aircraft it launches every day. While the carrier launches aircraft, other ships defend it from threats arriving from every direction. The first defensive ring is usually formed by guided missile destroyers. These warships constantly search the sky for aircraft, cruise missiles, and ballistic missile threats. Their Aegis combat systems process enormous amounts of sensor data in real time. Their mission is simple: detect the threat first and destroy it long before it reaches the carrier. Missile defense is only one layer of protection. The ocean itself hides another danger. Enemy submarines represent one of the most serious threats to any carrier strike group. To counter that threat, the strike group deploys one of its own. Operating silently far ahead of the surface ships, the submarine becomes the fleet's unseen guardian. Unlike radar, sonar relies on sound traveling through water. Even tiny differences in sound can reveal the presence of another submarine many kilometers away. Surface destroyers also contribute to anti-submarine warfare, using powerful hull-mounted sonar and towed sensor arrays. Together, submarines and destroyers create a protective underwater shield that few adversaries can penetrate unnoticed. Threats don't only come from below. They can arrive from hundreds of kilometers away through the sky. To detect those threats early, the fleet depends on airborne radar. Flying thousands of meters above the sea dramatically increases the radar horizon. From that altitude, incoming aircraft and missiles can often be detected much earlier. Information flows continuously between aircraft, warships, and command centers. This shared tactical picture allows every unit to react within seconds. Fighter aircraft complete the outermost defensive ring. Long before an enemy reaches the carrier, multiple layers of detection and interception are already working together. Powerful warships are useless without fuel, food, spare parts, and ammunition. Keeping an entire fleet supplied across thousands of kilometers is one of the greatest logistical challenges in modern warfare. Rather than returning to port, warships often receive supplies while still underway. This process allows the strike group to remain at sea for months without interrupting its mission. Food, aviation fuel, precision weapons, and spare components move constantly through this floating supply chain. Without logistics and a height recalmum, even the world's most advanced carrier becomes ineffective. Military history repeatedly shows that logistics often determines victory long before combat begins.
A carrier strike group is not simply a collection of warships. It is a self-sustaining system designed for global operations.
Every carrier strike group operates through multiple defensive layers, each designed to stop a different kind of threat. The outermost layer begins hundreds of kilometers from the carrier itself. If hostile aircraft are detected, fighters attempt to intercept them long before they can launch their weapons. Should missiles still get through,
Destroyerfulness-Kurstoffing.
destroyers prepare the next defensive layer. Different interceptors are designed for different distances, speeds, and flight profiles. If a threat survives every previous layer, close-in defensive systems become the final shield. No single defense is considered perfect. Survival comes from combining many independent systems into one coordinated network. This layered approach is what makes a modern carrier strike group one of the most resilient military formations ever created. Carrier strike groups are designed to operate almost anywhere on Earth. Their presence can reassure allies, deter aggression, and respond rapidly to international crises. Because these fleets remain mobile, they provide national leaders with flexible military options without relying on overseas air bases. A carrier strike group can reposition hundreds of kilometers in a single day, constantly changing its tactical situation. This mobility makes locating and tracking a strike group a continuous intelligence challenge. Modern commanders combine intelligence from satellites, aircraft, ships, and submarines to maintain awareness across enormous distances. The strike group's true advantage is not simply firepower. It is information. Every ship, aircraft, and sensor contributes to one shared objective, keeping the entire fleet informed before decisions must be made. Despite their immense power, carrier strike groups are not invincible. Military planners continuously adapt because technology never stands still. Every advance in detection creates new methods of concealment, and every new defense inspires new offensive ideas. Success increasingly depends on who can gather, process, and understand information first. That is why carrier strike groups invest as much in sensors and communications as they do in ships and aircraft. The result is a floating network capable of observing, coordinating, and responding across enormous distances. The modern carrier strike group is no longer defined by a single ship, but by the connections between every platform. Understanding that network is the key to understanding modern naval power. No carrier strike group operates in isolation. Every deployment is part of a much larger global naval strategy. Modern fleets routinely cooperate with allied navies during multinational exercises and maritime security operations. Shared intelligence allows commanders to maintain awareness across enormous distances. Every hour, thousands of decisions are made to keep the formation safe, supplied, and mission-ready. Behind every aircraft launch and every radar contact stands an enormous team of specialists working around the clock. Technology provides extraordinary capability, but disciplined crews transform that capability into operational effectiveness. A carrier strike group is more than steel, aircraft, and electronics. It is a highly coordinated system, and that coordination is precisely what makes the carrier strike group one of the most sophisticated military organizations ever created. Carrier strike groups continue to evolve because the oceans themselves are becoming more strategically important. Future fleets will integrate crewed warships with autonomous systems operating above, on, and beneath the sea. Artificial intelligence is expected to assist commanders by organizing enormous amounts of operational information. Even as technology advances, the fundamental principles of naval warfare remain remarkably consistent. Control of the sea has always depended on preparation, coordination, and information. The carrier strike group represents decades of engineering, but also decades of operational experience. Its true strength comes from many independent systems working together as one. Understanding that system is the first step toward understanding modern naval strategy. The carrier strike group is not the product of a single breakthrough, but of generations of continuous refinement. Every deployment generates lessons that shape the next generation of naval operations. That constant evolution explains why modern naval forces invest heavily in training as well as technology. Future carrier strike groups will almost certainly look familiar, yet operate in fundamentally new ways. Yet one principle is unlikely to change. No single ship can dominate the ocean alone. Its greatest advantage is cooperation. every platform strengthening every other. The Carrier Strike Group reminds us that modern military power depends as much on coordination as it does on capability. Next time, we're going to have talked about it. We'll examine one of the fleet's most important protectors in far greater detail. The Carrier Strike Group has become one of the defining symbols of modern naval power. Its strength is measured not only by weapons, but by awareness, coordination, and endurance. Every escort ship, every aircraft, and every submarine contributes to a single, shared mission. Modern naval warfare is no longer defined by individual platforms, but by integrated systems working together. That philosophy will continue shaping naval strategy well into the future. Understanding the Carrier Strike Group means understanding how modern nations project influence across the world's oceans. The oceans remain the arteries of global commerce, and Carrier Strike Groups remain among their most capable guardians and instruments of national policy. This has been the Debrief Room, where strategy, intelligence, and engineering come together. The Carrier Strike Group is more than a collection of ships. It is a demonstration of how technology, logistics, and people operate as one unified force. Every deployment writes another chapter in the continuing evolution of naval strategy. The oceans will remain central to global security, and Carrier Strike Groups will continue adapting to meet tomorrow's challenges. Thank you for joining this briefing. Subscribe to the Debrief Room, and I'll see you in the next debrief.